Pause for a moment. Take a breath with me, because what I'm about to say may explain something you've been feeling lately but couldn't name. You are not the same woman you used to be. And strangely, you're not fully the woman you're becoming either. You're somewhere in between. And that space, it can feel confusing, lonely, quiet, unfamiliar. Because when you outgrow your old life, but haven't fully stepped into the new one, you feel like a stranger in your own story. If that's where you are right now, stay with me, because today, we're not talking about change. We're talking about embodiment. We're talking about how to become the woman you're becoming. In the last message we shared, we talked about releasing the version of you that burned out, the version who overgave, overextended, overcarried, oversacrificed. You realize something powerful. She survived, but she cannot lead your next season. But here's what no one talks about after that realization. Once you release who you were, how do you actually live as who you are becoming? Because healing is not just awareness. Healing is learning how to exist differently every single day. Becoming is not dramatic, it's subtle. It happens in the quiet decisions no one sees. The moment you pause before saying yes, the moment you don't explain yourself, the moment you choose rest without guilt, the moment you stop proving your worth. Transformation is rarely loud. It is mostly behavioral, and that's where many people get stuck. They release the old identity, but keep living the same patterns. And then they wonder why life still feels heavy, because becoming requires practice. The woman you are becoming moves differently, not faster, differently. She no longer rushes to respond to everything. She pauses, she listens, she asks herself, is this aligned or is this familiar? Because familiarity is not the same as alignment. You can be used to chaos and call it normal. You can be used to pressure and call it responsibility. You can be used to exhaustion and call it strength. But the woman you're becoming no longer confuses survival patterns with identity. For most of your life, you were rewarded for performance, being dependable, being strong, being available, being everything for everyone. But performance is exhausting because it requires constant output. Peace is different. Peace is sustainable. The woman you're becoming no longer asks, how do I prove my value? She asks, what protects my peace? And that single shift changes everything. Let's talk about something uncomfortable. Boundaries. Not announced boundaries, not dramatic boundaries. Quiet boundaries. The kind that don't come with speeches or apologies. The woman you're becoming does not over-explain her limits. She does not negotiate her capacity. She does not justify her need for rest. She understands something deeply. People who require explanations for your boundaries were benefiting from your lack of them. So she chooses clarity over approval. Your energy is not unlimited, but for years you lived as if it was. You gave attention freely, time freely, emotional labor freely, until you were empty. The woman you're becoming understands. Energy is life force, and what drains it repeatedly must be evaluated honestly. She protects her environment, her conversations, her commitments, her emotional exposure. Not because she is selfish, because she is responsible. This is one of the hardest shifts. You stop performing to earn belonging. You stop overgiving to feel needed. You stop over-functioning to feel secure. Because you finally understand your worth is not demonstrated, it is inherent. And when you truly believe that, your behavior changes automatically. You stop chasing spaces that tolerate you and start choosing spaces that respect you. Becoming requires intention, not drifting, not reacting, not defaulting. Intentional living means choosing what enters your life, choosing what stays, choosing what leaves. It means designing your days instead of surviving them. It means asking daily, what kind of woman am I practicing being today? Because identity is practiced, not declared. Let me say something gentle but powerful. God does not rebuild you for decoration. He rebuilds you for alignment. When God begins transforming a life, He doesn't just change circumstances. He changes posture. He changes perspective. He changes standards. He teaches you how to walk differently so you don't return to what broke you. Becoming is not just psychological. It is spiritual growth in its deepest form. You are learning stewardship of your life. And here is something deeply important. You do not become new by rejecting who you were. You become new by honoring her and then choosing differently. That version of you carried more than she should have. She did what she knew. She loved how she understood. She survived how she could. And survival is not failure, but survival is not meant to be permanent. So you thank her, and then you release her leadership. Let's make this practical. The woman you're becoming pauses before committing, checks alignment before agreeing, leaves conversations that drain her, stops rescuing adults from their choices, restores before exhaustion, speaks honestly but gently, chooses long-term peace over short-term approval. This is not dramatic transformation. This is disciplined gentleness. If you feel uncomfortable lately, that is not regression, that is expansion. You are stretching into new emotional territory. You are learning unfamiliar ways of living, and unfamiliar always feels unstable at first. But this in-between space, it is sacred, because it is where identity reorganizes. So let me ask you something quietly. Where are you still living like the woman you already outgrew? Where are you still performing instead of aligning? Where are you still overgiving instead of honoring your limits? Awareness is the doorway. Embodiment is the walk through it. If this message is speaking directly to your season, like this video so it reaches someone who is learning how to live differently after healing. Subscribe to Dream Life Diaries if you want guidance that doesn't just comfort you, but transforms how you live. And I want you to comment below, I am becoming her. Not perfectly, not instantly, but intentionally. You are not trying to become someone else. You are learning how to live as who you truly are. And that shift from survival to alignment, from performance to peace, is how gentle rebuilding becomes unshakable identity.